Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben. This is episode 20. I hope you're enjoying all the episodes so far. I'm certainly enjoying making them. If you're new to the channel, feel free to check out all my other podcasts and have a listen to them, and feel free to follow me as well, as I upload these on a daily basis. They're usually available about 7 o'clock in the morning UK time for you to listen to on the way to work or while you're sitting having your morning coffee or cup of tea. So today's episode is going to be all about how to warm up your polytunnel in the winter, as it's now winter here in the UK. So these are going to be tips to how to warm it up without having to use heating and cheaper methods of doing this. So we're going to share a few hints and tips on methods that you could use yourself. So grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax and enjoy Gardening with Ben. So this episode, it's not going to be a very long one, as there's not too many tips to tell you about with warming up a polytunnel over winter. And obviously the cheaper the ways that you can do it, the better, really, because obviously it's saving you money. You're not having to use fuel to put a heater in the polytunnel. Plus, if it's an allotment, you're not necessarily want to leave a heater down there with nobody down there on the site if it's not in your garden. So the first method what we can suggest is horticultural fleece, or you could use the bubble wrap what you can get on the rolls when you're protecting stuff, when you're sending it via parcels. So if you get a lot of stuff delivered, save up all the bubble wrap and make use of that. And what you can do with this is you can line the inside of your polytunnel with it all. As you know, there's hoops that go all along your polytunnel. All you need to do is fasten it to that, and that will add that extra insulate to the polytunnel to keep it that little bit warmer and to stop the cold from hitting the plastic and then just hitting the polytunnel on the inside. Me personally, I don't grow much in the polytunnel over winter. The only things that I do tend to put in the polytunnel is flowers that I'm trying to protect for next year, or if I am starting a few things off early for next year. But I do know that a lot of people grow all year round on their allotments. So horticultural fleece and bubble wrap is the perfect thing to use in the polytunnel. If you haven't heard already, the place where I'm recording these podcasts is an app called Anchor, and it's totally free. They also put your podcasts on multiple platforms like Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts. Straight away, you can also schedule the time that you want it to go on, which is fantastic. There's also creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer, so you can record your podcast literally anywhere you want. You can also make money from your podcasts as well, with no minimum listenership whatsoever. So the more times it gets played, the more times you can earn money from it. And there's everything you need to make your podcast all in one place. So if you download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm, you can get started with your free podcasts. So the second option what you can go for is stones. And you're probably thinking, how do stones heat up a polytunnel? Well, what they do is that if you put some medium to large size stones in the polytunnel, what they'll do in the daytime, they'll absorb the heat from the sun, from the winter sun, and at night they will release that heat, what they've absorbed into the stone, and it will keep your polytunnel just that couple of degrees warmer at the night time. So a cheap way to do it, if you've got plenty of stones around on the allotment, grab a load and put them in the corners of your polytunnel and in the daytime they will absorb the heat and then get rid of it at night, and keeping that polytunnel that couple of degrees warmer. So the third option is another way. You can do this inside your greenhouse as well, all these tips what I'm giving you today. And what you can do is, if you've got one of those plastic mini greenhouses, what you can sometimes buy cheap from certain supermarkets, obviously I can't mention the name, but a lot of the time they're selling them off at end of winter and stuff like that. They're not always perfect to have outside, as the wind can blow them and snap them quite easy. Put one of those inside your polytunnel and put the plants inside that. That will add that extra layer to the plants between the polytunnel and the plants. Obviously you'll have that mini greenhouse as well, and if you fasten that up, zip it up, that will keep them extra warmer inside the polytunnel, because it's adding that extra layer inside it. And you can also still put some bubble wrap inside that as well, so you're adding like a triple glazing to keeping them that bit extra warm. And a lot of people do have these mini greenhouses. You can often find them on Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that for free. So have a look around and put one of those inside your polytunnel and put your plants inside that. You don't necessarily have to stand it up. You can lay it down as long as it's over the plants, and then it'll cover a bigger area rather than piling all your plants inside it. Lay it down and put it over the top of your plants. So yeah, that's creating like a little coal frame over the top of the plants inside the polytunnel. So try that. Another tip what you might want to try to keep your polytunnel warm or your greenhouse. Not everybody will want to do this, but when you hear it, it's a good idea. What you could do is invest in a rabbit hutch and put that inside the polytunnel, obviously not in the summertime, and put a rabbit inside it, and the heat what's generated from the rabbit will keep the polytunnel warm. So that's another tip what you could do. Plus also there's a benefit to having rabbits. You can create a pen and get it outside in the daytime and it'll eat all your weeds up. So hey presto, one way of getting your weeds down. Let me know if you try that one. I don't think I will be somehow. But obviously don't do it in summertime, because obviously you'll bait the rabbit because they get that hot in the polytunnel. So the last tip is, what you could use is get some cheap tea light candles. You can usually get a pack of 100 for a few pounds, and obviously put them on a metal tray and light them in the corners of your polytunnel. Obviously not too close to the plastic because it will melt it, or don't put it near anything flammable. Light them at night and they will send out the heat from the candles and help keep the polytunnel warmer. I've also seen it when people have put the ceramic plant pots on top, the pot plant pots on top, and the plant pot will warm up and create the heat, keeping the greenhouse and the polytunnel warm as well. But obviously you won't want to do that on an allotment, because you wouldn't want to leave a naked flame burning while you're not on the plot. So that's a tip I wouldn't necessarily use, to be honest. But all the other tips are very handy and cheap to do. So I hope you found them useful, these handy hints and tips for keeping your greenhouse and your polytunnel warmer in the wintertime on the allotment and in the garden. I hope you can use some of those tips yourselves and let me know which ones you use. If you're not following me on social media, feel free to follow me on my Facebook, Instagram and YouTube, Gardening with Ben, and feel free to check out my website, which is in the link below, www.gardenandallotment.com. And also I have a shop on there where I sell Gardening with Ben mugs and hoodies and t-shirts. Also I've got some funny hoodies and t-shirts available for sale, which make ideal Christmas presents, so have a look at them. So thanks for listening to today's gardening podcast. Have a great day everyone, and remember, keep gardening.